this is the ZH2, and it is, I think, the world's only supercharged naked bike. To enhance this review a little bit, I've come down to Port Rashid, where we have all these yachts and of course the Queen Elizabeth II, the ship as well, and I've enlisted the help of none other than Uday, who's taking some pictures of this bike. So while he's taking the pictures, let me tell you a few things. One of the awesome things about this is that is the air intake. There's no intake on this side. It's just here, and it's green to let you know that that's the air intake. And gosh, does this thing stand out. I know. Well, the first thing the owners will do is get rid of that. I don't blame you, because the rest of the bike looks so amazing. Now this is in black, and if you want to change it, it's very simple. Press this button and you get in white. Press it again, you get in black. Now this is something I really like. There's a lean angle option, and then when you lean, see, comes up straight, goes down, tells you how much you lean. That is a cool feature. And of course the range does help tell you how much left you have to go, and the rest of it is pretty standard. I'm sitting here in 6th gear, let's say doing 100 kilometers an hour, right? And we're just cruising, and all of a sudden, let's say I really need to get, somebody's coming too close to me and I need to get away. This bike, the torque allows you to go to that horizon like this. Almost instantaneously, even in 6th gear. I mean, you don't need to shift down. Oh, if you shift down, it's always better. I mean, the torque obviously magnifies, but if you just need to move in 6th gear, this thing just, gotta love a supercharger. A hypernaked bike with cruise control. Very handy. Sitting here, 109, 110 kilometers an hour. I can finally rest my right hand, unlike my Z, which has to sit on the throttle the whole time. This is much better. Up. Since I'm talking about the cruise control, let me tell you guys that the hand controls are extremely ergonomic. Everything is literally, you don't have to stretch out too far. You don't have to, wonder where everything is. Once or twice, as soon as you start riding it and you figure, you just, have a few glances. After that, automatically, your fingers will just go everywhere. And the starter is, unlike most on normal Kawasaki's with the starter button, this one instead has the pull-down start switch. Well, the pull-down start switch is a bit different, but still nice. And again, the bumps and the curves in it are really good. They feel good on your thumb. I was playing with the settings a little bit and switched to the rider modes. Now this one allows you to effectively control the amount of power output, the amount of your suspension, whether you want it soft, you want it hard, you want it normal, as well as, of course, the traction control. The traction control on this one has 3 settings, and I've kind of set it in the middle to number 2. See how it goes from here. So far it seems to be, we've been riding normally, so without any oil slicks or anything, so I've not had a chance for the traction control to actually work properly. I've been using the quick shifter as well, and oh boy, that's that work well. At lower speeds, there's a bit of a jerk as it shifts, but once you get up the rev range, she's rather smooth with the shift. And we're going to see again, which is like in a corner, and yes, very precise, extremely precise if you ask me. Considering the amount of torque that this bike has, I am really not surprised that she handles like a dream in the corners with all that grip. We did a photo shoot earlier this morning when we went out for breakfast. That was courtesy of Uday. But now I'm taking this monster to get a shot by Fuad. Now both these guys are excellent photographers and each one has their own style, so I'm interested to see what Fuad is, well, what he has in mind, because he does a lot of my track photography as well as some of the other shoots in the desert and things, so it's gonna be an interesting one. Right, so I'm coming up to a bit of traffic, which is going to be a good test to see how this bike handles slow-moving traffic. Because at the end of the day, when you buy a naked bike, you are pretty much buying something to ride around the city. And if you're buying this hyper-naked, supercharged bike, you still want to know what it's like in stop-start traffic. So as you can see, we're coming up to traffic. Now, I'm sorry it's in the night. I'm using the Senna, which doesn't shoot very well in low light. But hey, we're just trying to find out how well this bike does. Alright, so far so good. I mean, she's not very happy at low revs. A little jerky. But that's kind of to be expected, really, because at the end of the day, yeah, okay, so she is a bit jerky at low speeds. Second gear with almost no throttle input. She does seem, yeah, she's a bit jerky. Although at lower speeds, the throttle, the power delivery from the throttle is nice and smooth. And the throttle feels really good in your hand. Like the springiness of the throttle feels really nice. So third gear now, a little faster traffic, and when the throttle's off, she still is a little bit jerky. Gonna have me pulling in the clutch every now and then. But with the seating position, my knees seem to be, well, I understand why I feel like my knees are out a little more. That is because there is a bigger engine with the supercharger and all the other bells and whistles that need to go into it. So it's not as narrow as my Z. But hey, it's not really my... Alright, let's see how well this thing turns. Very well. Very, very, very well. That's what I can tell you. Oh my God, this thing wants to corner. This was awesome. Okay, honestly speaking, when I went into that corner, the way the front just stuck, it is so precise. Love it. So I haven't done any of the 0 to 100 or 100 to 200 times, nothing of the sort, because this bike has just about crossed 500 kilometers. It has not even done its 1,000-kilometer break, and so I've been keeping it, as we say here in the UAE, halal. I've been keeping it halal. So I guess later on, once it finishes its service, I will do a follow-up video, and that way we can maybe take this and show you guys its true potential. For now, as somebody who already rides a naked bike on an everyday basis, I love this thing. I would totally use it every day. I mean, without even thinking about it. It is so easy. I mean, even though it might be daunting to some people to think, oh my god, this thing is a 1000cc supercharged monster. Well, it is, but it handles like a kitten. It is so agile. It is incredibly precise. And I have loved every single moment of riding this thing. I don't think there was a single minute that I didn't enjoy it. Although, you know, at lower speeds, it's not really happy. But then, I understand why. Because it's not meant to creep around at 10 kilometers an hour. But in the UAE, where we cruise at 100 or 120, this thing is in its element. The seat is incredibly comfortable, infinitely more comfortable than my 2017 Z900, and it's a stock seat too. Now I had Ankita on the back of this to just give you guys an idea of how it feels, how the rear seat feels if any one of you guys are thinking about using a pillion or taking a pillion. And she said it was comfortable and that she enjoyed sitting on the back. So that's a plus point, I guess. So yay! If you have your other half that you need to take along for a ride, well, this bike does the job. And I'm sure she will be comfortable. It comes standard with the Rosso 4 tires, which gives you the satisfaction to know that you have Pirelli rubber underneath you, and that means oodles of grip when you are in a corner. And the Rosso 4 as well gives you a fair amount of longevity as far as Pirelli goes. Now I know over here in the UAE, most people just want to get onto the Super Corsas straight away. And while that is okay, those are not really going to last you much, and considering the torque on this bike, it's just going to eat those tires up for breakfast. So I'm sitting now in cruise control, and it is handy. Small touch of the brakes turns the cruise control off. Well, it just cancels it, doesn't turn it off, it cancels it. So pretty much standard, like any other car or that you're used to with cruise control. I'm loving the way this thing handles. Just moves around. A little touch on the bars or on the foot pegs and she responds. It is so precise. And I think I've gotten used to the power on this thing because, I mean, the throttle response. Now I know it's a fly-by-wire throttle, and rumor has it that the H2 series of motorcycles have the throttle restricted to 35%. And hey, I completely understand why you did it. Okay, if you gave any normal human being 100% input from this bike, oh gosh, it would not be a good thing. It would not be a good thing. I can understand if you gave people like Alex Lowe's and Jonathan Ray, the top boys, 100%. But mere mortals such as us, 35% is plenty. It is plenty. All right, let's talk about the range for a while. I have been riding this bike normally. I haven't been twisting the throttle trying to get 0 to 100 times or 100 to 200 times. because it is still under the 1,000-kilometer break-in period. It's still in this period. So in order to make sure that everything is a-okay, I have been riding it normally. And because of that, I just filled up the tank, and the range shows about 275 kilometers, which is not bad considering this is a 17-liter fuel tank and it's a supercharged bike, and you get 270 kilometers out of it. I mean, that's crazy. Okay, it's just updated itself. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but if you can, it currently shows 294 kilometers. So it's automatically recalculates and recalibrates itself. And to be honest, I thought my Z900 was great while getting 200, well, getting almost like 300 plus kilometers. You know, I've gotten close to 400, but on an average 300 to 400 kilometers out of a tank of gas. And that's definitely not supercharged. And here you've got this massive machine, this monster of a machine, and it's doing almost 300 kilometers out of a tank of gas. I am impressed. Kawasaki, you guys know how to build a bike. And of course, I cannot fault the quick shifter. When you first start off and the engine's cold, and you're in low speeds, it tends to jerk just a little bit, but that is easily remedied with a little drop of the throttle. But once you're at cruising speed and the bike is moving, it is a seamless gear change. Really, really well impressed with it. I've got to talk about the brakes for a moment. I know I touched on them earlier, but these Brembos, they were exactly what this bike requires. Because the amount of stopping power in them, and this master cylinder it's like a rock solid thing. Incredible. So I'm back in Kawasaki returning the bike, and I'll make sure I get it out again later to do a follow-up once the 1,000-kilometer service is done. So it was great. Absolutely fantastic. So it was fantastic. I loved it. I can't wait to take it out again. And just so you guys can see, I'm going to film this with the phone. That range there shows 298 kilometers. Okay, and this is out of a 17-liter fuel tank on a supercharged machine. Well guys, that brings me to the end of another review. Thanks for watching. As always, ride safe, and I'll see you on the road.